Hey guys, today I'm going to read for you the second lesson in the Unique Learning Systems curriculum for the month of February. This story is titled Maya Says No. So this is a skill we are always practicing. Remember in class, we've talked about if you don't want to do something, you can always say no, right? Say no. But we've also talked about, in some circumstances, like if your dad asks you to clean your room, you are always free to say no, but you're not always free from the consequences of saying no. In this case, in this story, we talk about Maya saying no to certain things that are totally okay for her saying no to. And, she shouldn't have a whole lot of negative consequences from saying no. So if we look at this picture on the front cover, she's got her hands out like this. Usually that kind of means somebody's uncomfortable. And she's practicing, saying no with her body language. So some words we're going to learn from this story is the word drugs. So those are substances that change how you act and feel. So much like alcohol, like we said, alcohol is a drug. And just like alcohol, drugs change the way you act and feel. And they can do this in different ways. In this story, we're also going to talk about cigarettes, which is tobacco rolled in paper for smoking. I'm sure most of you are aware at least what a cigarette is or have seen somebody smoking in your life. We're going to talk about marijuana, which has become a bigger topic in Michigan as it has become legal. So this is a drug made of dried leaves that can be smoked or eaten in food, and it's also called weed, pot, grass. There's a lot of different names for it. We're also going to talk about prescription drugs, which is a medicine given by a doctor. So, any medicine that you take is a drug. So even if you have a headache and you take some ibuprofen or Motrin or Excedrin, that's also a drug. But there are lots of drugs that have, good effects for people. So if a doctor prescribes you medicine, that usually is a drug that's okay to take, and you need to take that to be healthy. But then there are a lot of drugs that aren't prescribed by doctors that might be unsafe and could have some negative side effects for your health. So some things to learn from this story is that you have the right to decide what you put into your body. So like I said, you are in charge of you. You are responsible for you. There's only one person in the entire world that everybody is responsible for, and that is themselves. So you have the right to decide what to put into your body. Like I said, you have the right to say no. Cigarettes have nicotine in them. Nicotine is a drug that changes how you feel and act. Alcohol and cigarettes are considered drugs. They can change the way you feel and act. Be confident and learn ways to say no when you do not want to try things. So just like we talked about with alcohol, cigarettes are also a drug that is legal in our country to use once you turn 21. And that's kind of a big topic because that age did change recently. So alcohol and cigarettes, like I said, once you turn 21, are okay to use. But if you choose to use them, you should know that there are health side effects and you should plan to use them safely, right? And, be responsible in knowing a good plan to stay safe and what those drugs might do to your body. So Maya's grandmother smokes cigarettes. Cigarettes make her grandmother cough. Smoking is bad for her. Maya will say no to cigarettes. So, you might have somebody in your life that smokes. And like I said, that's perfectly legal and fine for them to do. But we also know that cigarettes are kind of bad for your health, particularly your lungs and your ability to breathe. So in this case, Maya's grandmother smoked cigarettes, and those cigarettes happened to make her cough. So Maya is able to know, no, I don't want to smoke cigarettes. Maya's aunt drinks too much alcohol. Just like in our last story, alcohol makes her aunt act differently. Drinking too much is bad for her. Maya will say no to drinking alcohol. Some of Maya's friends try drugs. Drugs are dangerous. Using drugs is bad for her. Maya will say no to taking drugs. So, we've talked about peer pressure before. You may have somebody in your life that, says, hey, so-and-so, do you want to smoke a cigarette with me? And, you're not 21, you're not old enough. You don't want to do it because of the health risks. It's okay to say no. A boy tries to give Maya a beer. She says no, and she means it. The boy walks away. Just like in our last story, those characters kept buying Matt beers, and he didn't say anything. He just kept taking them, right? Nobody knows what you mean unless you say it or tell them in a way that they will know that you mean it. If you're just saying it in your head, they're not going to know. And if you keep taking beers from somebody, they're going to think that you want them. So you have to say no, and you can say it pretty forcefully. A girl tries to give Maya a vape pen. Maya says no, and she means it. The girl does not ask again. So those are another thing that are pretty big in our society again right now, are vaping and vape pens. Like cigarettes, the age for those is now 21 as well. And there are some science out there that proves that they also can be pretty bad for your lungs and breathing. Saying no can be hard. It can be so hard to say no to somebody. But it is smart to practice saying no. Saying no keeps you healthy, happy, and safe. So we can practice it right now. So everybody at home, practice. Just say no. I don't want to hear you say no. I want to hear no. Really forceful. So practice saying it. You do it. Did you do it? Did you say no? Just like that? So saying no keeps you healthy, happy, and safe. That's very important. In your life, there are going to be times when you don't want to do stuff. And it could be a whole lot of things, right? We're not even talking about drugs. So your friend asks you to go to the movies. You don't really have enough money to go to the movies and pay for groceries. So you have to make a tough decision. But you don't want your friend to be upset with you, so you'll just go to the movies and then you won't have food to eat for the weekend. Stuff like that happens. You have to be able to say no to people. And like we talked about in the last story, if somebody is really your friend, if you say no to them, they should not be upset, right? They should not treat you differently because you said no. We all have the right to say no. So here are some tips that we learned from the story. Real friends don't make you do things you do not want to do. Perfect example. We talked about it last story. Your real friends don't make you do things you do not want to do. You know, they will not pressure you to do drugs. They won't pressure you to drink if you don't want to do that. It is okay to say no when something feels wrong. It's okay to say no. Remember, like I said, practice saying it. No. Learn what drugs can do so you can make good choices. So like I said, it's legal to do some of these things once you reach a certain age, but you have to make some decisions about whether those things are healthy for you in your life, and if, you know, the consequences of doing them, you know, are okay for your life too. And if you can be safe while you're doing those things. Practicing and learning ways to say no is smart. It's okay to practice saying no, because this last point, saying no, keeps you healthy, happy, and safe. Like I said, this can apply for so many situations in your life. You are allowed to say no whenever you want to. So here are the words that we move my page out of the way, that we learned about. You can pause on this screen if you'd like to kind of review these words with your child or student. Next, we're going to take a quiz about this story that we read. So let's see if you know the answers to these questions. What is this story about? Is it about saying no, dancing, or fighting? Circle the answer you think is correct. This story, saying no, was about saying no. Remember, no. You can say it forcefully. It's okay to say no. What is bad for Maya in the story? Stacking cups, making friends, or using drugs? So in this story, using drugs is bad for Maya. Question number 3. What does a boy try to give Maya? Does he try to give her beer, a snack, or coffee? Circle the answer you think is correct. A boy tries to give Maya a beer. So remember, a beer is technically a drug. So it affects the way you think and feel. Okay, question number 4. What is it to practice saying no? Is it silly to practice saying no, smart to practice saying no, or sassy to practice saying no? Circle the answer you think is correct. So silly, smart, or sassy? it is very smart to practice saying no.
Smart.
Right? There's all sorts of situations where you could say no. And even I sometimes, when I do certain things, I have to really think about and practice saying no in my head before I do it out loud to a certain person. You know, it's really hard to say no to somebody like my mom, you know, and sometimes I have to say no to her, and that's okay. Number 5, what is important to know about this story? You cannot have fun without alcohol. It is not cool to say no, or saying no keeps you healthy, happy, and safe. So saying no keeps you healthy, happy, and safe.
Saying no keeps you healthy, happy, and safe.
That is the correct answer. So I hope you learned a little bit today about saying no, most importantly, saying no in any situation, and how to more responsibly make these decisions about possibly doing some things that might be considered drugs, marijuana, alcohol, cigarettes. Like I said, all those things are legal when you reach a certain age, but you need to be able to make a responsible decision about whether you want to use those things one day. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time.